Welcome to another episode of the Hip Hop Uncensored podcast. I'm your brother Oga from Hip Hop News Uncensored, and sitting across from me is my co-host.
What up, y'all? It's your man Sam and Viral Hip Hop News. Hope y'all are enjoying your holiday season. We are in the building, and damn it, we are live. Another edition of the Hip Hop Uncensored podcast. We got a special guest in the building. We got the God Q Butter on the podcast. How you doing today, family?
What's good? I'm great. We love it. How y'all?
Welcome to another episode of the Hip Hop Uncensored podcast.
All right, this is what we do. We live, man. Definitely appreciate you coming on, brother. Appreciate your time, man. We're doing very well. I know the people are going to be very excited to have you on, man. First and foremost, how was your holiday season, man? And how you feeling? How you feeling right now?
Yeah, I'm great. I don't celebrate the holidays, so I'm actually just working up and editing my websites for the Institute and the music studio. Just working, I'm taking this time to just work.
Now you from Brooklyn, I hear you repping. I see you in Brooklyn a lot. Talk to our audience about growing up in Brooklyn and how it made you into who you are today.
Brooklyn. Growing up in Brooklyn was an honor. Everybody loves where they're from. The experiences I had, really molded me from unfortunately from the violence, from to the culture in the sense of like the ideologies that permeate around Brooklyn, the black ideologies from the Nation of Islam to 5 percenters to Rastafarians, the Caribbean culture in Brooklyn, being somebody as a black American, I have like my grandmother's Jamaican. So I tried my hardest to be Caribbean growing up, being caught up in that identity crisis and coming out of that. And then, all these different things getting to pour into me. And as I started to develop further in my, where I am now, and I got to travel, transverse the country, I got to see how, how important that culture was. Not everybody's as fortunate to be able to walk up the block and have a 5% friend and then go to the Nation and then build with Rastafarians, go to Prospect Park and see people cut Rasta heads out. So like the Pan-African movement in Brooklyn is extremely strong. Whether be it from just the old school Black Americans who moved to Bed-Stuy, who keep that energy going on in Bed-Stuy, to the Caribbean influx of people who come with the Garveyism or Bob Marley and the Rastafarianism. So those things, that all definitely was all paramount into my life.
Dope. Now I heard you speaking that you were from a middle class background, and that kind of gave you a different kind of insight on us as a people. And I thought that was real interesting. I was listening to one of your lives a few months ago around your birthday, and I was really into that conversation because it just resonates with a lot of us out here that we as a people, we feel it, we know it, we embrace it, we wear it. But a lot of the things that were programmed into our mind are still of somebody else's ideology, and we carry that along real heavy. Can you kind of break that down for the people?
It's assessment. If we're gonna really assess ourselves, we have to think about what makes us who we are. The foods we eat, the clothes we wear, the choice of words that somebody's driving the wrong way down the street. The choice of words that we use to describe what we're experiencing, how we feel about what we're experiencing. Many of those things were taught to us, or we emulate from things that we've seen on TV. Like the Neo complex, people thinking they have to be the savior, people believing that they're the one. I've heard that from so many different religious people, and that's something that was put into them from religious ideologies, or the womenizing, the misogyny that we see in our community, or the lack of respect that we have being displayed from the women to men and the men to women, the foods we eat, the choice of foods we eat. I was discussing something with my mother, and I was saying that gestational diabetes was common in the 80s because a lot of women ate all types of crazy foods, Black Americans, and becoming overweight when they were pregnant. That was common. When I had my sons, they regulated that immensely with my queen, down to the holidays. Like you asked me about the holidays, and I had to say, I don't celebrate the holidays. Like shout out to my parents, my mom. This is like the first holiday, period. My moms did not call me to discuss anything about the holidays. We used to literally talk about Black empowerment and family, family stuff. And so I was really proud of that. And she was like, it took a time to get to that point where you could recognize that, removing the need to say God, removing the need to there's a lot of things that we don't pay attention to culturally that is inside of us. And if we don't, call a spade and say, look, this comes from there, This is some, some white stuff. This is some black stuff. There's a remix of some white stuff to make it look like it's black. We got to be able to say that, so that way if we want to know where we're going, we got to be able to see where we're at. And a lot of times I think we skip that point. We just want to get straight to the next stage, and it's like, no, we got to know where we are. Everybody's trying to be this healthy eater and or trying to be this type of person or trying to be that type of person, and it's like, who are you? And why are you the way you are? What went into making you the way you are? Why do you choose to take these type of paths when you get angry? Why do you choose to use those words to describe yourself? All of these things go into why who we are where we are. And so for me, assessing myself and trying to be someone that, or rather not trying, being someone that other people can look at and say like, he takes an accountability of who he is, why he is, and he's attacking those things within himself, so that way he can be a better person for the community. And I think that's something that we all need to do, especially those who want to be leaders, because there's a lot of us that put ourselves in positions and we don't understand the nature of the war that we're in. The government, the white folk, these people that's in power, they're not stupid. They watch us and analyze it psychologically. They know our addictions. They have meta tags. You can just go on social media and know everything about a person. So it's in our both best interest to be abreast of what we do and why we do it, because other people are trying to figure that out.
Definitely. You have the Zayax Institute, which is cool. I see that you also do music. You put a new song out a few days ago. Can you go back and tell our audience when exactly you got involved in the music, game? And I think you got the studio as well, right?
Yes, sir.
Dope.
So, yeah, that's my one thing I would say, not to say like that, and I'm a master of. I'm an audio engineer. I've recorded a lot of music, thousands of songs. Within Marshall, from battle rap, I did Loaded Lux's project. I did about 5 projects with Math Hoffa. Rod Diggs music videos that they used in court when he got arrested. We shot those music videos.
Okay.
From songs for Uncle Murder, down to the song that everybody knows now, Big Drip. The Big Drip, I recorded that song. He says my name in the beginning. So our studio was we're well planted in New York for being a music studio. I got sued by the city 10 years ago for putting flyers all over the city. Smack birthed his URL in my studio. We've been around in it for a while. I had a studio in Harlem, the same brand where we moved to Harlem. We was in Bed-Stuy, and we moved to Brownsville. Now during the time of this, one of my good friends, he challenged me, shout my man John Logic, but he was like, yo, Q, you do all this Black Power stuff, but your studio just produces pretty much ignorant stuff. And that's that was the reality of it. And as I was doing producing, it was really hard for me to get artists to try to do positive music. Shout out to my brother Math Hoffa, that's my brother right there. And he'll tell you it's like Q always wanted to push Black stuff. We remember I done had arguments and debates over we gotta push this Black thing. He's like, yo, why don't you do it? And Math was one of the few people that was like, yo, why don't you do it? Why don't you rap? Math was there when I recorded him. I think he recorded my first song when I was in the studio messing around, and it was just like, I'm gonna dabble with it. And then this year, I'm like, you know what? I got to take it a little bit more. I can take it serious. It's not like I'm doing it to get signed. I own a studio. I built this institute. I'm not in any way trying to get signed to a label, and I enjoy doing music. And it's cool having my family and people look at myself and say he represents across the board with all of his elements. Whether it's music, whether it's speech, whether it's his personal time, everything he does is in alignment with Black empowerment. And I think that that's something that we need to start showcasing within ourselves as men. We can do stuff to take care of ourselves. I just bought my wife a car, so we can be good. We don't have to promote Black broke, Black power ain't broke. We don't promote that over here. We working, we grinding, and I want the music to be that. And I feel like that's what I want to do. And so message of the Black man was I gotta really hit something different home. My man Danique, if you know him, we do all of his music. We recorded, I did Grass last EP, and we recorded Grass last. Shout out to Graf, because he really motivated me. He's you could say he's in an area of an on artist. You would say he's up there, and he hit me up to do the record. He came by the studio, he heard the record. I was like, yo, I'm working on this song. He was like, yo, I really feel that. And he hit me up the next day, yo, Q, I want to drop a short verse. And I was like, yo, you gonna do the video? He's like, yo, I got you. I really support what you're doing. So shout out to Grab, because he dead supports everything I got going on. And my brother Danique, and then we was like, yo, let's really rock with it. Unfortunately, we shot it during the summer. That's unfortunately, my man, you know, rest in peace, King Face. You know, he died. You know, he was an integral part in the video. And there's overall the representation that we wanted to promote to the community, that, you know, we can focus on our Black empowerment. We can focus on Black men. We don't have to downgrade Black women. We can talk about uplifting the Black man and not downplaying the Black woman. We don't have, you know, uplifting the Black men don't have nothing to do with, you know, disrespecting Black women. And I want to showcase that, and I want us to be able to say, like, we are making music that's about us.
Absolutely. Now, engineering, that's the dirty work of music. That's the part of music people don't really recognize and appreciate, but that's what's making the most money and making the most impact in music. How did you get into engineering?
My pops is like an audio engineer. My pops invented a method of producing 3D sound. And he just always wanted to have studio equipment, but he's not like in the music side of it. He did more like, I forgot what you call it, but it's different. Like, he would have been good on YouTube now. He did that types of weird editing with sounds, and he would make a movie out of like different people's audio clips and stuff like that. And that kind of got him into inventing his patent, developing his patent. And DJing, I used to DJ, and I was around like a lot of like reggae sounds. I don't know if y'all familiar with reggae sound system. On my block, we had Child's Play, and then there was Spectrum and Kilimanjaro and Stone Love. And I always wanted a sound system. And when I got into it, I realized that I really didn't want to be a DJ. I really loved the equipment. And my boy, shout out my man Dre, he gave me a Pro Tools one day and Reason. And I was like, yo, I mean, I can have a studio on my computer. And I turned the crib into it. And I remember I was in math class and I kept practicing. And one thing I tell everybody, read your books, read the instruction manuals, read the gift. You know, it's a tool, and most people skip that. And I realized with the studio world, that was the first trick I saw. Every studio I went to, none of the engineers read the books. They all were like, I'm natural, I'm gifted. And like, I don't believe in that gifted shit. Like, I believe in practice and skill sets over time, like in your work ethic. Like, if you're gifted, you know, gifted people fall apart over time. You'll never become a Kobe or Michael Jordan, you know, if you're trying to be gifted. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta practice. And if, you know, even down to Jay-Z, people, you know, Jay-Z got 10 years of practice before he was ever lit. You know, they forget, you know, New York rap is this on that level. So practice is how you become great. And so that's what I did. I put 10,000 hours in for free, you know, like within like I'm talking about every single day recording. Anybody who was and you can go all over New York City and ask anybody about it. They're like, yo, Q recorded everybody for free. And it was like, all right, now it's like, all right, now I'm gonna start paying. People gonna start paying. And then I remember I was in math class. It's crazy. I was in math class, and we were doing something called the predator-prey theorem in Calculus 3. And I was like, yo, I had an epiphany. I'm like, yo, I can change my life off of this. And there was a white math teacher looking at me like, the hell is you talking about? I'm like, yo, I can mass promote my studio in a way. That's how I got sued by the city, because I put my flyers all over the entire, I'm talking about every light pole. I got charged $900 for like one light pole. I beat them in court, sort of. Like, that's the story. But I got the newspaper article right there. But I suppressed the city with marketing, and it changed my life. I've been recording since. I've been, you know, them 10,000. I tell people, like, put your time in the same way as y'all. I'm pretty sure y'all got 20,000 hours of free shows and shows that y'all did just developing one mic, laptop shit not working right. And people don't realize, like, that's what it takes to get to that level, you know. And then you got to get to the next stage where you got 10,000 paid hours. Then it's 10,000 paid hours more than the other 10,000 paid hours. And then 10,000 paid hours that you paid somebody else. And my goal this year, I'm like, I want to be able to say I got 10 people on my team that got 10,000 hours paid with Zayax, you know, where we have a crew of masters and a crew of people that are elite at what they do. And, you know, that's what it's about to be for me, for Zayax, about developing people in our community that can be masters at what they do.
Go.
We got to talk about the Zayax Institute, man, because that right there, man, is a powerful undertaking. I've been watching it, you know, for a while now, and I, you know, sometimes I see you be on there with the kids, doing different science experiments and everything. Talk about your motivation for that and how that came to fruition, the Zayax Institute.
Well, it started. I mean, it started in high school. I ain't gonna lie. I went to I was kind of troublish in high school, so I had to do my moves. You know, I got kicked out of one school, kicked out another. I went to Grady. I got superintendent suspension over there, kicked out again. Then I went to this school called City Ass School, and I really kind of just was like, damn, my pop should have taught me. We need our own building. We need our own institution. And from there, was just always resonated in my mind that we need our own institution. And when I started to teach music at Brooklyn College in like 08 or 07 or something like that. And later on, one of my students, you know, he put me on a Umar Johnson, and he also put me on a really to a different aspect of the conscious community. And at that time, I was homeschooling my children, and I was doing community events, and I was like, all right, let me just open up a space. And then where I moved to in Brownsville, shout out to the owners of the building where I'm at in the Brownsville, they support the hell out of what I'm doing. It was like, yo, take upstairs. And I was like, all right, we was doing photography and music videos and stuff like that. So I just I put the sheetrock up, built a little room, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna turn this little space into a space for the children. And it's funny, one of my first students is here right now. She teaches now. She gets paid now. Our goal is to get her like $10K for the semester.
Oh.
And she was one of our first students, and it was my son's 2 other children and really her. And then I was online, and I started talking to people online. There was a sister in Atlanta who I helped with credit. There's another sister in California who had children. And we was on Google Hangouts, and I was like, all right, there was about 9 of us. And that's literally how it started, you know, just I had a space. It was open and available to anybody who homeschool, because that was one of the running challenges for people who homeschool. They didn't have a space where other people can come to, where children can meet at. And then one of the challenges in the community was having a space that we can provide our own educational services and not be held by, you know, some of the discriminatory clauses and the rules that discriminatory clauses promote, you know, such as you know, our feelings on homosexuality, our feelings on race, our feelings on how Blacks should do business, our feelings on, you know, voting, our feelings on the government. Some of these concepts and forms of speech, we can't have those in government-funded, you know, buildings. You just can't have those type of conversations in schools or certain nonprofits. They'll lose funding for that. And so for me, I was like, well, I don't need the government's funding for my space. Y'all can come in, we can talk about whatever we want to talk about, and we can educate the children how we need to educate the children. And there was other things I was doing, like I was doing free credit repair. Shout out to Sinetta, you know, he helped promote the program like crazy, and I was doing credit repair at that time. And it was just about, you know, anybody knows I'm all about research, finding ways to do stuff, you know. And when I was doing the institute, I'm like, yo, you know, we should do a nonprofit and kind of like, let's not do a school. Because if you really read the laws in New York, it's not really in the interest of Black empowerment to do a school. So when I started to listen to other people speak, I'm realizing that people are really talking. And that goes back to the early part where, are we talking and regurgitating and emulating other people's stuff, or are we actually thinking? And so like when I was hearing Umar and other people's ideas for schools, I'm like, do we actually want to educate the children, or do we just want to say we have a school? I care about my children being educated as fast as possible and reaching these children who need education, but who are also being caught by the idea of waiting for somebody to build a school or going to this person's school. And I was like, you know, we can just do it ourselves. And then that just started the cookie, you know, that just started crumbling. So it was like, all right. So then it went to curriculum. So and I'm like, all right, let me talk to people about their curriculums. And the woman who owns the building here, she's a principal. She just retired, 20-year principal, very prominently known in Brooklyn. And I asked her about a curriculum. She was like, I've never read a curriculum. I only bought them. And that started to become the typical conversation point where most people don't know a curriculum. And so when I went into the conscious community, everybody has like a list of things you should read, but most of them don't have a curriculum. And so, and everybody was always against the core curriculum. So now I was like, you know what? Let me read the core curriculum. And so as I read the core curriculum, you know, and I was building, I met a brother online named Brother Buddha Clinks. And he's an educator from California, one of the first people to join with me aside from Brother Damo. You know, I got to shout out everybody that's volunteered and came on, because these people are integral to how we got to where we are. And when Brother Buddha Cleans came on, he really exposed me to the language that the school system used and the codification of it's like the algorithms without the internet, how to access the information is just proper key terms. And I didn't know that. And once he exposed me to it, it allowed me to find way more information. And the first thing I was able to do was to really start developing a framework for a curriculum. And as I started to talk to other educators, I realized how many people really do not understand what a curriculum is, the purpose of the curriculum, how to develop a curriculum, and goal setting with a curriculum. And when you superimpose that on Black empowerment and the goals of a lot of people, you know, there's a missing point. You know, the point of education is to develop the capacity of a person to be able to perform, you know, within whatever set field. So if you're educating them in music, they should be able to perform whatever they're doing. If you're educating them in how to drive, they should be able to perform as a driver. If you're teaching them how to become a doctor in whatever form of field that they should be in, you know, you get the point. And so when you have all these people talking this Black power stuff, I'm like, what are we actually able to do? And that was one of the challenges I had when I was with Sinetta and them on the platform. I'm like, I don't want to come off as a hater, but a lot of people to me talk too much. It's like, are we getting to the point? You know, I helped almost 600 people with their credit for free, and it was nothing to me. And people were like, yo, you should charge. And like, that's nothing. I'm like, this is small. The Institute opened me up to first personally gave me access to so much information that revolutionized my own personal self and the growth, and especially with the curriculum point. So it's like, all right, what do we want the children to be able to do? And then from there, it gave me an ability to predict and be in a predictive positioning for the Black community. And where a lot of our leaders, they go out there and say stuff, but they have no viable way of saying how it's going to come about.
Yeah.
And there's no slight, it's just the reality of it. When we created a nonprofit in New York, we had to do a 5-hour training class to solicit funds or even be in a position for funds. But I did the training class largely because I wanted the information. And part of the information, the stress in it is that it's called the capacity development. And the argument that is that you won't be able to provide services adequately in New York if you don't have the capacity, the knowledge on how to do it. And that's the reality for much of the Black community's leadership, where we don't have the capacity to do certain things. And so when we think about, like, you know, some of the people who are trying to develop schools, they don't have the capacity to handle the business aspects of it. And so when it comes down to handling the basics, lighting, fixed cost, lighting, rent, water bills, heat bills, getting licensed carpenters, getting around the usage of having to use licensed carpenters, all of these things you deal with. So if you're making a barbershop and you're just starting out, you may not want to go to a neighborhood where the city's gonna check every single license you have. You might start in the hood where you can get away with opening up and not having no license. We know this in the hood. You know what I mean? That's not stuff that, you know, if you come from a college, you don't have the history or the acumen of dealing with small businesses to be able to know, like, let me not start so large. And I meet a lot of people in colleges who have this grandiose view of empowerment, and they skip the small step because they're not part of the small step. So that to them seems very, you know, mundane. But when I bring up somebody like Marcus Klein, my mentor, you know, he's been doing it for 12 years out of Chicago, and he has a small business mentality. He owns every single chair. You know, he has $20,000 worth of chairs, $20,000 worth of books, $20,000 worth of computers, all of it owned by him. Nobody can tell him anything. And when that's empowerment to me. And he had the ability to sustain it without the need for anyone else. And that to me is what I saw as something I wanted to be able to do. And with the Institute, I was like, you know what? I'm not creating a school. I have no interest of creating a school in New York City. New York City laws are very difficult. So if you create a school in New York, you cannot say that you're only for Black people, first and foremost. Then if you create a school in New York, You cannot get around the vaccination. Simple. As a nonprofit organization, I can exclusively service Black people. It's in my bylaws. It's in the mission statement. It's approved by New York City. I exclusively, racistly, emphatically focus on Black people, and it's perfectly legal. Black people are a subjugated population in New York City and America, and they need to be exclusively focused on. That simple as that. And by that definition, it's not racist, but it's positive racism. And we need to be able to say that. Why do we need to spend more money in this community? Because this community has been lessened and redlined for these many years, which stifled our ability to grow. And so the only way to make this community grow and develop and catch up is if you exclusively focus on this community. It's just that simple. But in the way the laws are written with schools, you cannot do that. And I don't have no time and interest to be sitting there arguing with white folks about changing their laws. I'd rather just do what I got to do to get what I got to do, get done. And when I talk about credit repair, just to show that the business alignment, most people think credit repair companies operate in one across the board. Every state has different laws for credit repair. And so like in Florida, you and I can go to Florida right now and create a credit repair company and start calling people and buying debt. In New York City, we can't do that. You need a license, you need a bond, you need to get approval. It's two different laws. But the person who doesn't know no better, only thing you hear is debt collection. So when that person from Florida calls you, but you live in a state where that's illegal, you don't understand how that operates. And that showed me with the school system that we have to take advantage of the fact that the school system is not sanctioned. It's not unified. There is no unified school system. If there is no accreditation, so a lot of times homeschool parents think that the school system is accredited across the state lines. It's not, and there's a lot of loopholes in there. And so in Georgia, you can go to college without having a diploma. In Georgia, you can create a school without having a board, and you don't have to have even a major facility. In New York City, you have 21-point checklist. In Arizona, you don't need anything. Anybody can open. That's why the College of Arizona was so powerful. Anybody can open up a college or a school in Arizona. Arizona has no accreditation laws. They don't care who opens up a school. So we can go up there and open up a school. And if you just want to say you have a school, go to Arizona, file it on paper, you got a school. If that fits your ego. You know what I mean? So for me, our nonprofit organization does the exact same thing as a school. We just don't have to play with the red tape. I don't have to question nobody about their vaccination because I'm a nonprofit. That's not my compensation. I don't use government money and I don't use the government space. So I'm not even underneath the government space for them to come in and bother me about how I use space. And when other people are making schools, now you have with COVID, even if some of us get the schools open, you won't even be able to do what you want to do because of the federal laws with COVID right now. And so with Black empowerment for me is like, I'm a gorilla. We have to do whatever it is to get what you need to get done. And with Black empowerment, I was taught we're not supposed to look at the government as an example or the people in the government for help. That's been historically known. They're against us. They're going to do everything against us. When I look at some people, not to say I say this in my own stream, shout out to but when I look at, a lot of people calling the brother from there an agent. And I was like, let's remove the agent part and let's go back to what we first said earlier. Like, some of us have to remove and assess who we are before we get to this space, because we're going to do things that these white people know we're going to do. We're going to get on camera and act up and do nigga shit. We're going to point the gun a certain way. Got them. We're going to do this thing. Got them. We're going to do this. And we're going to find that that's what they're supposed to do. And so we have to be very mindful, about being around these people. Like, I don't do no white interviews. I'm so thankful to be on your platform. I don't discuss or even mess with white folks. CBS, Fox News. I'm like, how can you be about Black empowerment, but y'all be on these dudes' platforms? Y'all want to get your play. Y'all want to be known. But that comes with smoke. And if you respect your enemy as you should, you know what kind of smoke these white folks come with. They come after your family, they kill your people, they kill your finances, they'll kill your grandmother. We're not in a position to be dealing with that. The Institute is one of, not to say many, but we're in New York City, we're one of only. You know, I can walk around the entire New York City and say, like, there's a very few of us that's in the space where I'm at. We're tuition based, but we don't have no tuition set. So any parent who signs up, they set their own budget.
Yeah.
I suggest the price, but whatever's good for you is good for us. You know, our curriculum, when I listen to other people's curriculums, when they say it's STEM based, and I'm like, well, what do you do with STEM? They don't even know what it means. You know, like what I'm promoting with STEM is real. Like when I'm talking about from electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, mechanisms and structures, organismal biology, coding. Everybody's talking about this coding. We're going to be showing the kids how to do HTML from websites, how to do gaming codes, how to do machine code. You know, we want to get to these pieces. When I can almost say 70% of my student body right now knows the exact difference between a parallel circuit and a series circuit. And if I gave them 3 components, most of them can make a parallel circuit with 3 of those components, which the common adult in America can't do. You know, and when I finish with them by the end of this month, they'll be able to recognize and identify all of the key components of the circuit board, and they'll be able to build structures that they can develop with that. You know, from 3D printing, we're implementing that, and we're networking it across the country. What we're doing with astronomy and sciences, and you know, tying everything into it. You know, even down to what I did this year with astronomy. Like I love education. I can go into it. Like I told my children this year. Like most of the time they teach Black children the basics. I'm talking about like, you know, how many you know, what's with the sun, how many planets are there. I said, I'm not doing this here. We're going to start off with the most leading conversations with children. You know, so my children this year learned from the beginning, you know, the expanding universe, Hubble's constant, you know, what is dark matter? You know, and my children can tell you, how do we know or infer that dark matter exists? Why do we can infer that dark energy exists? They can explain to you what cosmic microwave background radiation is. They can explain to you what the cosmic web is. They can explain to you about supermassive black holes and active galactic nuclei. And I explained to them that these are the observations that are being used to validate the Big Bang Theory. And goes back to what y'all said, with like, you know, if we're going to assess what we have in ourselves, we have to be able to differentiate what we believe in.
Mm-hmm.
Just deal with what we believe in and don't even know why we believe in it, such as evolution, such as the Big Bang Theory, that we just believe it. And I told my students, I didn't even say the Big Bang Theory to you. I don't promote the Big Bang Theory. I'd rather have you understand the observations that go behind the model that they're promoting, but I humbly say we don't know. And for me to have my students be able to have that conversation is, you know, is an opportunity of itself, you know, and I can go on with the education. Like that's my.
No, we appreciate it.
Nah, this is powerful, bro. Like, you know what, as I'm listening to you, man, one thing I could realize you talk about from your curriculum to the children that you educate. And if I'm not mistaken, your online classes are 35. You're in 35 states right now online as well. You talk about your program with parents and working with them as far as tuition is concerned. It seems like you're a brother that just really values a relationship and knows the power of a good relationship and how to market and network a good relationship in a positive and right direction. Talk about that, man. The power of just being able to create good bonds and good relationships and where that could take you.
You know, it's funny. My pops told me that the only reason you go to college is to develop a network. He said, if you want to be smart, go to the library. He said, if you want to be around right people, you go to get a network. And that was my introduction to that conversation. Your network is your network. And I just tag in, like, my pop was the smart person. My mom was the networker. I beat a murder case when I was like in high school. I got in a lot of trouble, and my pops didn't want to help. And I was telling somebody earlier, both of my parents is how I beat it. You know, I wouldn't have been able to get the lawyer we had my mother didn't have her people skills.
Mm-hmm.
I've been able to get the private investigator had my mother had those people skills. My mother, they gave me an outrageous bail. My mother went and got about 75 letters of reference. And that taught me right then and there, like, yo, Q, cherish your peoples. You know, my mom wasn't like the physicist. She didn't know all this stuff. She was the type of person that would go around to certain homeless people and just remember to give them cigarettes. Mm. And I was like, why would you give him cigarettes? She's like, look, he's homeless. He's hurt. Why not get high? Mm. Why not enjoy whatever the hell I can help you get enjoyed with? If he wants to go get high and get a sandwich queue, who the hell am I to tell him not to? I'm just going to help him enjoy whatever little bit I can do and enjoy him. I'm not going to sit here and lecture him. And I had to learn that, you know, help people just be, you know, and it sometimes it's just that simple with just being there for somebody. And she really showed me how important relationships are. And I wouldn't have been able to be who I was without the people who saw me as someone of value. You know, when I was on Rikers Island and I graduated high school there, rest in peace, Chico, he cursed out the warden of the island in C-74. He cursed out, he cursed out everybody until I was in a room by myself with 3 COs taking my RCTs exams. Fires going on, and I was in that room and they was just staring at me, take these tests, and they was like, whoever this dude is, you better not mess him up. And I remember when they mailed me my diploma and he called me up and said, CQ, there's no excuses. And that was something that was a testimony to him. That was a testimony to me, and a lesson on like, and I don't want to get emotional, but anytime I talk about Chico, you know, he that was a conversation like, I'm gonna build my own school, Chico. And so, you know, like this conversation is a testimony to him. Like I wouldn't be here without him. And those relationships that you develop are who you are. Like I wouldn't have beat my murder case if I was an asshole to the doctors who wrote the letters for me. When a judge read the letters and they're like, yo, you got doctors, school teachers, you got from your daycare center to these people. And I was like, that was my mom's. And so when I was doing the credit repair, I don't think the community understood network. When I was like, yo, you understand, like I got 500 people's phone numbers, people that I can call who I helped, and they're doing better in life now. And I like the mother who was in the program, I remember she got a bunch of money for her credit and was able to move out of her situation. And she was like, yo, Q, I wouldn't be where I am now if I didn't get that little bit of help from you then. And I was like, imagine if I would have charged you. You know, her daughter and my son wound up becoming like having a little internet relationship. You know what I mean? Like that's powerful for me. And I think people don't value what that means in time. Like, you know, people haven't been in situations where you need somebody to help you and you got to find somebody to help you. And it's going to go back to what kind of person were you? Were you a shitty person? And so for me, I know I don't want to be known as a shitty person. So I remember when Umar Johnson's father came here, and shout out to him, and I told him, he was like, yo, would y'all work with his son? And I was like, honestly, no, his credit is kind of weird to me. And like, you can come to Brooklyn where I'm at and go to the store and get something in my name for free. You can go up the block and, you know, you'll be good in a lot of different areas in Brooklyn because of my name. There's a lot of people who respect me because of my name, and I put a lot of work in for that. And I feel like those relationships and how we put what we do with them, and when you hear how people online, a lot of YouTubers, like you can tell they're by themselves, like they don't leave their house. It's like their connection. I remember when Tommy came to Brooklyn and then he got punched in the face, and I was like, Tommy, like, yo, bro, like this is the world we live in. Like, where do you live? Like, I got so many dead friends because of YouTube. Like Rod Diggs is underneath the jail because of YouTube. Okay. You know, a video he put on YouTube is what the district attorney used to put him underneath the jail. And so these relationships and how we view our time and space in this while we're here, we have to be, you know, be accountable for that. And so now with the Institute, from the credit repair part, I saw how integral influence can be. And over time, you know, like one of my first students with music, Nice to May, shout out to him. He runs a music studio in New York City. And he just recorded Brandy's album. He recorded the song that what's his name just put out, French Montana put out. And this was my first student.
Damn.
You know, and I'm only a piece of his growth. You know, and I'm so proud to be able to say I'm part of his story. But his story is way greater than my part of it. And that's important to be able to humbly say that like that. And when you count how many students you got that's floating around, they're this now, they're that now, and then you got people that you've helped, and like I got so many people I helped that start their business, you know, and it's like and people that charge people for that stuff, and I guess that goes back to, I don't want to say the middle class stuff, but I just want to say I was afforded a level of life that wasn't crummy, and when I realized that was when I was on Rikers Island, that I was spoiled with love, and I was trying to compete with people who unfortunately had a very crummy life. Their parents wasn't there for them. They didn't get food. Yes, they might have wore nice sneakers and they would hang out late and sell drugs, but they were borrowing those sneakers. They were stealing those sneakers. They were scamming to get this stuff. And the value of love that I was getting at home was priceless. And ultimately that paid off in the long run. And not to slight anybody else, but that's something I had to learn. And when I look at the leadership now, when I look at how much people sell everything in the community, like, yo, bro, you wouldn't believe how many arguments I've got into with people over charging shit in the conscious community. And I had to tell them, like, yo, bro, this is confusing, because if we just skip to the hip hop community, we would rob you for your camera.
Yeah, fact.
Like, it's confusing to me. Shout out my man Mel's TV. He never charged me for it. Yo, Mel's TV will show up right now to interview with the kids. And so when, like, people like that, people like y'all, shout out to Doggy Diamonds, like, I cherish y'all because y'all don't have to do that. You know what I mean? Like, y'all are lit, y'all are doing what y'all gotta do, but y'all see what's important and y'all put it there. And it's funny how the hip hop community does that more than the conscious community. And I gotta tell dudes like I got into it with Brother Ben X. I got into a lot of dudes like, look, Jeff, I'm confused. If either we all talking about this black empowerment shit or y'all all charging. And like, and how are we all gonna get somewhere if we all charging black people? Like, and not that we're not supposed to make money, but it just seems like blind profiteering to me. I ain't gonna lie. Like, people be just trying to make $1 off of everything, bro. And it's like, I'm not in that space, and I'm just happy I'm not in that space. My business is doing okay. The people I'm around is doing okay. So I'm not in that space to be charging somebody like, you know, I need $700 a month for your kid here. Then you got to pay me for the t-shirt, and I'm selling you a STEM kit. Then after that, I need your PTA fee, and I need this fee. And if you don't want to pay it, well, forgive me because you don't want to support Black Power, or you trying to. Like, that's weird to me. That's I don't know. That's that old school shit. That I need every dollar. I need all of mine.
Before we go on with the interview, I want to let everybody know where they can donate to the Zayax Institute real quick. Let people know so I can drop it in the chat, please.
GoFundMe, Zayax the Movement, or Cash App, Zayax the Movement. Let me find it.
Spell that for us. Please spell that for us.
XYAYX.
Okay.
The Movement. Let me pull it up.
All right. You drop it in the chat. I'll post it for everybody.
Yes, sir. Y'all go ahead and hit that like button. We got Q Brother on the podcast right now for a powerful interview, man. Definitely appreciate your time.
Yeah.
And appreciate all the knowledge that you're dropping, man. So what was the ultimate motivation in opening the school? Like, what was the ultimate, like, I know you were talking and alluding to it earlier when you were seeing other people talk about it, but you wanted to be a man of action and actually do it. But to go through the 500 hours that you had to go through, to go through the various classes that you had to go through and learn the laws in each state. It seems like you know about all the states and their laws when it comes to opening a school and the regulations behind it. So what was the ultimate motivation? I think I have a good idea, but I'd like for you to share it for the people behind just, you know what, I got to open the Zayax Institute and I got to do it my way.
Black empowerment.
Word.
You know, like when I teach the children what Black empowerment means, like to be empowered is the ability to do for self, you know, and it's just that simple. So Black people's ability to do for themselves means that we have to be able to sustain our ability. We have to be able to consistently sustain our ability. And that's why mathematics is important. That's why learning STEM is important. You know, we can't be in a country that's the leading provider in STEM, in all fields of STEM, making millions of dollars on STEM, and Black people make up less than 6% in that field. That's just disrespectful, you know. And we birthed the field, you know, in every onset. The first person to take a measurement to measure is African. We were the first people to measure thousands of years before anybody. We were the first person to assume calculations. We were the first person to build geographical maps, the first person to do topographical maps, the first people to know the different types of minerals and the way minerals respond to waters and other acids. The first person to do any of these things, to map the stars, to navigate the waters. And for us to not be in the forefront of it is by design. And if we don't recognize that design, it's because of whoever's reasons. And for me, I'm not there to argue with it. It's blatantly fact. Like, you know, I was discussing with my students this week and I was showing them, like, you know, just the need to have babies. And I was explaining to them, going back to what a lot of us was taught feminine and masculine. Like I don't even try to have those conversations no more. Like I recognize there's women in our community who are deemed masculine, who have 3 or 4 children and they have a husband. There's dudes that are feminine who have wives. And if we got to stop plaguing our children's minds with this and start just stressing to them what's important, that they make children, that they take care of their families, and we accept them for who they're going to develop into, and we teach them to be respectful of who they're going to develop into and why it's important for our community. And you know, in my oldest class, there's 4 boys in that class, and I was able to discuss with them like, look, y'all need to have children, you know, and let me just tell y'all up front, y'all need to have at least 3 children each with a Black woman. Let me put that in your head, and I made sure each one of them repeated it, and I showed them why that's important, you know, and things like that is what it's going to take to get into the next level. You know, when COVID happened, I got to tell all of my children in states that can have it, their parents, go buy guns, go get bullets. You know, we're going to be introducing a firearm training class in their program. You know, like this is Black empowerment. You know, when we talk about credit repair, being able to handle a business, being able to get to the next stage. And I told my children about, you know, understanding the dynamics in our families and the need for discipline and why discipline is important, and, you know, handling fighting. You know, like we open chest boys, like, look, you play like we don't deal with that, you know, and this is because we have to fix our community. I remember there was a situation up the block on Brownsville New Park. The police was there because the park got shot up all summer long last year. All summer long was getting shot up. We go there with the kids. Black power. When I say Black, you say power. You're our marches. One of the sister mayor came to us, was like, make sure the park is clean. And when we came the next day, one of our students had a whole mishap. You know, he had a little moment in his little teenage attitude, and he got into it with one of the teachers. And so the police officer and the parents was there, and they was like, I came after this, like, what kind of person would be working at a program like that, talking to the kids? He was bullying the kid and this and that. And so I stepped in, I was like, you know, like he told y'all are in the park for a reason. So and he said, either you're going to do your job, which is locking them up, because you're not communicating with them. You don't even know the language. You don't even know our code. You don't know nothing about us. Women's job is to do this. So whose job is to deal with it? Then I had to tell him, the young boy threw a piece of garbage on the floor, and when he was told to pick it up, he told his counselor, suck his dick. So now in our program, the parents all know what time it is. You do that, you get fixed. You know, and we gonna handle you like men. But we was at the park, so we thought he had a moment because the police van was there. So then he walked in the dude's face. So he picked him up, tossed him, and then big brother him, hold him on the ground. It was like, you gonna apologize, had him on the floor next to the piece of garbage, and it was just pushing him with the garbage to the garbage can. But what they saw was him holding him on the ground, pushing him and yelling at him. And then the sister came in, who's the mayor, was like, no, I asked these brothers to clean up the park. And so when they put it all together, it was like, no, we were volunteering to clean up the park, and one of the boys disrespected the mother, the park, the police, the program, everybody by throwing paper on the floor. And when asked, he said, suck his dick. And he's not built like that, because his moms and pops was like, y'all washed him, right? First thing they said, y'all washed him? You see, and so this is what we gotta, and we can't get there if I'm around a bunch of white folks that's like, oh, you can't talk to Black babies. Like, how you gonna tell me how to talk to a Black baby? Get the fuck out of my face. That's crazy. You feel me? Like, and so I don't have those conversations with white folks. I don't have those conversations with Black people who's underneath white folks, because they're gonna try to tell you how to deal with Black babies like a white person. We have over 150 kids in our program. Unfortunately, we have 50 damn near parents in the waiting list. This week, we're waiting for Monday. We're going to attack all of those. And so the goal is to be at 200 students and to end the year off with almost 300 students in the year in the program. That's around the country. No white people, nowhere, no white involvement, Black everything. Like, and I'm talking about everything. And all of the kids in the program have STEM kits. I'm to the point where I got to figure out how to get all of my kids in the program. I'm gonna go off to this one, right? But how to get all my kids in the program everything they need. But now let's go back to the business standpoint, right? So I meet this Indian brother where I teach the kids how to make remote control cars from scratch. just introduced a whole nother program. Y'all don't know if y'all mess with RC cars. I'm a big ass kid, bro. I ain't gonna lie. I'll be having fun with the kids. I get to use the microscopes, cars. Like, you bought another car. I'm like, look, man, like, I just bought the engine kit to teach them how to make the engine. Like, we best to pop. But the dude, long story short, the dude where I bought the RC cars from, I didn't want to put this jewel out there. Long story short, you know how we say Black people, everything we're trying to do is coming from like India or China.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reality of the business. Now, he just gave me a plug on how to take that. Like, the microphones y'all got, you can get your own microphones from India for like $7, and they'll put your name on it and make your own custom microphones. Just let me just put it like that. Like, they're out there. So he just gave me the plug. Like, I don't want to put too much. Like,
no, don't do that.
But we're doing it with clothes.
Okay.
Everything is available in Bangladesh, India, Taiwan, China. Everything you want. I'm talking about we look at fashion and drugs, but he's like, yo, Q, you want headphones with your name on it? You want your own headphones? He's like, yo, as long as you're getting 50 a set or 100 a set, you can do this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then they do by request. And it's crazy. So now back to the business, right? China doesn't respect America's copyright laws.
Okay.
So long as you can pay for the first model, the other models are cheaper. So they normally, he just gave me, I'm talking about, bro, he gave me it's great. He's like, yo, Q, they'll make anything you want in China. He's like, look, you want this STEM kit, you want your phone, you want an iPhone with your name on it to say the Q phone? Look, just pay for the first one, and after that, they just mass produce it. And as long as you do 100 at a time, 5. Fuck my head up with that one, bro. I'm like, so he's like, yo, from basketballs to sneakers to headphones to whatever you want. You want your own Mead notebooks. You wanted to say, you know, hip hop uncensored notebooks for dudes to write their raps in. You can get that in India. You know, 15 cents each.
Damn.
And so that to me is the next stage where I want to bring the institute to that. We're producing, even if we have to go to somebody in China or India, we have our materials next year for the parents. So I want them to be able to just, here's the STEM kit, because like it takes a lot of time for the parents. Anybody who's listening, when you sign into the program, you have to get your kits. If you can't afford your kit, you have to message me. I'm talking to the parents that might hit me up. You have to message me so I can either buy you the kit or somebody can help you get the kit. But it's difficult to like start the program when, you know, 1/3 of the kids only got one kit. The other class got this kit. Another portion of the class got glue. And it's like, and so that's been the challenge for us. But anybody who teaches STEM, that is the first step. Like you're doing your show, the first step in doing the show is having the equipment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you can't do STEM without the equipment. And that's the challenge in the Black community right now, where you see all of these schools. When you ask somebody about the schools, what you got to ask them, what is your plan to make sure that the parents have the materials to do the STEM at home? Because that's how the Asians are doing it. You can't compete. We're not going to be able to compete with the Asians, Indians, Chinese, whatever bits we ain't competing with nobody because they got the kits. And so right now, that's my, like this week and next week, I want to make sure every kid in my program has the kit. All of my older students have soldering irons. Like just having a soldering iron and having a work table. You know, I mean, a little $20 workspace and a lamp and a soldering iron and a set of helping hands, magnifying glass, a little drill. You're giving them the opportunity to explore a world that was never afforded to them and has been systematically removed from them. And that table I just described is only $50.
That's crazy.
You see what I'm saying? So it's like, and when we look at all of the stuff that people talk about Black empowerment, I'm like, yo, Diddy, you know what I can do with Black kids around the country with just $1 million? You know what I'm saying? Like we would have every Black kid in the country would have the electronic playground, Osoyo kit, snap circuits. And I everybody in my parenting program, I tell the parents to get the cheapest one because I know, unfortunately, that's where we at economically. But I know we're competing with white dudes and white kids that's buying the $100 version for every one of these kids.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the $100 version is a $100 experience compared to the $17 experience.
Right.
So it's a challenge, but that's what we're here for.
How you doing the damn thing, man? Appreciate you.
Yeah, to everybody listening, I pinned the Zayax Institute, the donation link is on the top of the chat box where we're chatting at the bottom. So if you want to go, don't want to go ahead right now and make sure you guys donate to that. I'm definitely going to do so after this. Now, you talk about what you could do with $1 million, and I often hear you giving a lot of criticism to Umar Johnson, and I believe you just do. Why do you think, in your opinion, that so many people gravitate and support and give him so much money to build nothing? And it's, at times it was kind of hard for you. I know when you were first getting them to school going, it was a little hard for you to get support. So why are people flocking over there, giving him money for nothing, and you got something tangible and people don't want to support you?
I come to like our generation is still becoming accepted, and I realize that the older generation. And first of all, shout out to Umar Johnson. Shout out to everybody trying to do something in the community. I'm learning on being not so much critical on my people, and I think in the past the way I got introduced to it, now I look at it as different. Like blatantly, he doesn't have the acumen for the business endeavor he's trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
His heart there, yes. Now. And that's what the New York City thing explained to us. They said, look, if you don't have the capacity and the acumen for business and you end up with a bunch of money, you will be a scammer. It just takes time because the way the tax code is viewed, you're going to misappropriate funds, you're going to misallocate funds, and you're going to, and that by default is scamming. And that's what we feel. And then that's the culture of not being developed properly. And so New York City and other people know that when it comes to business, it just comes down with who handles your books. How do you go about handling your books? Do you have a board? What are your goals? And then prior to that, your business experience. And that, I look at it as myself as saying, like, not to be so critical anymore and just say, like, I would have been afforded and what life has, allowed me to experience is why I can make some of the decisions. And I got to make better decisions for myself and hopefully find a way to inspire him and other people who are doing it to make better decisions. Now, when it comes to the community, I know we resonate with a certain tone. Like if I came on here, we know the game, bro. Not this. Black people, beloveds. We have to focus on what is important. We need to first get to our shit. Stop playing with these babies. Now, when the day comes, the pain come out, like I don't like that energy. You know what I mean? Like the people in my studio are gonna be like, "Yo, Q yelling at the computer again." You know what I mean? Like it just seems weird to the like when my kids is around, I seem weird to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, when I had to look at it, like, I'm spending a lot of hours yelling at the computer, my blood going up, and that's not me in the real world. I don't like that's my name is Butter because that I got that from being in the studio. Like I'm cool. Like I do shit smooth. I like somebody like I'm talking about Rod Diggs got into a shout out to rest in peace Ice Man. But I remember before Ice got killed, Rod Diggs is 6'7". You know what I mean? His whole team is a bunch of 6'6" dudes that all did 10 years in jail, and the smallest dudes did the most jail time. and they get into a fight in the studio. I'm talking about bro. Big ass, this shit, and they're using the jail terms. Why you transgression and I'm cracking up. You know what I mean? Like you gotta be cool. You know what I mean? Dudes and guys. Like, but the year I opened up the institute for real, 2 years ago, somebody got shot in the studio for the first time. I'm talking about I've been in business 12 years. Nobody's ever had a situation I got shot in the studio. My son is being and I go home to rub on my queen's belly, and boom. He's calling me somebody got shot in the fucking studio, and if I was here, it wouldn't have happened. And then I get there in the morning time, there's police all over the place.
Yeah.
The New York, the rules. If somebody gets shot, they got to leave a police van there. They got to leave all of this and that. And so the cops get in there, and the parents are standing outside, and the cops is like, I don't know if it's going to open. I'm like, not going to open. The parents telling them, we ain't worrying about that. We know Q got that handled. And the police was bugging. They like, yo, you got an institute upstairs from the music studio. And I'm telling the cops, like, look, y'all got to leave. I need y'all protection. This was a mistake. I've been in business 12 years. 12 years. Some of the most gangster of gangster dudes in my studio. Only reason, shout out to Bobby and Rowdy, they wasn't in my studio because I moved to Harlem at that time. So I was deep in doing the projects with Loaded Lux and freaking Head Ice. Shout out my brother Head Ice. You know what I mean? On Sway Sever. I was doing projects with them. But if I was in Brooklyn, I would have been doing Roddy Rebels and them projects. That's that foreign side. Shout out to my little brother's foreign side. We was doing all their music. And so you know, it gets caught up. It gets a little mixy, and I think our people are connected because I have the same challenge in hip hop with the regular studio. It's like, you know, I'm not hood. I'm hood, but when you put me in that mix, I'm not chilling in a strip club. I'm not gonna be sitting there talking about what fucking rapper got the most money. I don't want to talk about this nigga shit. I'm gonna go do my taxes. I'm gonna write a business plan. You're gonna see me on YouTube looking at, you know, oh, they just discovered a black hole. Like, I'm not gonna be sitting there listening to y'all. Like, that's why most people don't know that I recorded the, you know, Big Drip. That's just a gang. It was a fucking gang violence song. GDK, Gangster Disciple Killer. I do not promote that shit. I fuck with GDs. I fuck with all, like, I'm neutral. So what I like being in a video that's I don't care how much people y'all like it, and so that makes people who are in that mix not fuck with me because they know, yo, Q's not with the shit. And so now with the conscious community, it got that same thing. I'm an atheist. I'm not burning no motherfucking sage. That shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not walking around with no damn dashiki on and flip-flops on to make you feel like I'm more African. That shit don't mean French to me. You see what I'm saying? Like, and I think a lot of us want to see that. A large portion of the community doesn't have access to culture. So them seeing a dashiki, them seeing somebody in, you know, wooden looking flip-flops on and you know, all that good stuff with some sage, that's what they need. Like, they're like, that's their example of culture. I went to California. I do not like California. California is too mixy for me. Like, everybody's a mulatto mix. Like, they Asian, black, Spanish, black, and then the black people that's black. If y'all don't know, black people are surrounded and suppressed in California. You know what I mean? Mexicans and the Spanish people run that shit. Like, my gangster Crips out there was like, Q, yo, don't go over there, homeboy. They like, yo, boy, they run that. We don't go over that. I don't, you know, I'm in New York. There's no part of New York those Spanish person telling me not to go to. You shitting me? Like, hell no, you shitting me? California, I'm good. I don't like that. And so for me, I think I'm learning to resonate with my people. And that's why interviews like this is important, because I realized that, like, with my sister Michi X, we have that urban hip hop view, and the older group doesn't really understand that. Like, I had a principal that wanted me to work in his school, and I'm doing it for free. And he was like, yo, Q, you got to take your hat off. And I was like, I'm never coming back here. Bro, I got my own fucking school. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm here trying to help you with your STEM program that doesn't exist.
Right.
Why are you asking me to take my hat off? Oh, you one of them you make your kids wear suits? Oh, you think that's gonna help them be successful? Or you promoting that Howard University shit where you tell black people to cut their hair off so they can be more inclusive? I don't do that shit. I wear my gold teeth on purpose because I want my children to know, be yourself. I am hip hop. I embrace hip hop. I am proud to say I'm part of the hip hop generation. We all all in a similar age. I'm 39 years old, so we all right in the same space. So, like, I love hip hop. I am proud to be of it, and I hate to see what it developed into. But I also know that the older generation does not like hip hop. So that's why Bill Cosby didn't go into hip hop and support it. That's why they look down on Tupac. So that's in Umar Johnson does not appeal to the hip. He does it in slow ways, but he's more affiliated with the older one. I'm gonna show you my degree. I'm gonna show you this. I'm like, yo, fuck your degree. Like, I don't really care about, like, I'm doing business. Like, I met a dude on Nostrand Avenue, a Jewish dude who built the hospital on Nostrand and Beverly, I think it was. And I'm like, yo, you a doctor? He said, no, I wanted a hospital. He said, I hired the doctors. He said, you don't need to be a doctor to open a hospital. Why would you need to be a doctor to open a hospital? That blew my head. You know what I'm saying? That was like, whoa, like, bullshit. I don't need to be a fucking doctor. I want a hospital. You know what I mean? It's just that simple. How many people I know that have degrees in education who could never do what I've done? The woman who owns the building, she's a 20-year principal, owns the building. She's like, yo, Q, I would never do what you did. I wouldn't know how to go about creating a curriculum for free. Why would I do that? Like, their brains aren't even programmed for that. You know, when Umar Johnson was talking about, let's go into the IEPs. Let's go to the business aspect of it. IEPs are a money-making machine. Let's say that again. They are a money-making machine. If your child, the states now give IEPs for gaming addiction, divorce,
Wow.
child abuse. If your child ends up homeless, if you're in shelter, if you're in extreme forms of poverty, you can get an IEP. All it means is that you need extra servicing. Servicing. I am an education service provider. So education service providers, it is in their interest to search for people with IEPs if they're billing the city. So Umar Johnson, if he was in his square, when I was listening, I'm like, yo, bro, you would be making mad money off the city. Like, because they're gonna recommend the kid to you. You're gonna have the conversation with the parent, like, look, your kid needs Black empowerment. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna charge the city $250 an hour, but you know, and that's what I can. If I have my file cabinet over, I will show you. In New York City, it's $200 an hour to service a kid with an IEP. You pick the service. So in the Jewish community, you think they're pulling kids out of school? No, they want their kids to stay in school for as long as possible.
Yeah.
Because they run the services. So they're like, oh, you need a speech pathologist? My wife is a speech pathologist. Oh, you need a behavior modification? My wife is a behavior modifier. Oh, you need physical therapy? My brother has a physical therapy lab. Oh, you need this? We have that. So they're just billing the city. So like one child, they're gonna be like, yo, then their cousin is the what? The doctor. Their brother's the lawyer. They're like, look, do me a favor, diagnose my son with every fucking thing on the IEP list, anything that my family can bill. Then they turn around, the lawyer sues the Board of Ed. The Board of Ed and most education districts do not fight IEP lawsuits. Let me say that again, y'all. They do not fight IEP lawsuits, but you have to sue the city. So most parents, that's what I'm listening to Umar say this, I'm like, you have to sue the city. Look what the lady just wrote. I have an autistic son. He can get services beyond 21. And most parents, and so when I'm hearing I'm like, yo, bro, you're not giving them the game. When you have a child, they have physical and mental ailments. The school system does not properly diagnose them. You as a parent have to take them to a doctor and get them diagnosed, and you have to submit that to the state. Now you get SSI. Now your child gets all of these new services. And that's more empowerment. Instead of telling these parents, oh, fuck the system. No, if your child got autism, listen to me, sister or brother, go get your child diagnosed and go get help. You need a para. You need somebody to travel. You need somebody to help you with food. You might have a child who's a runner. There's nobody in the Black community that can service children with these situations. Let me repeat that. There's no one in the Black community that can service children with high-level forms of autism or other type of mental or physical ailments. And so it's not in our interest to organize the parents in a way where they're looking at the information from a alleged Black perspective. I'm gonna wait for Umar Johnson, or I'm gonna wait for this. No, you need to know the law in your state. You need to find a way to get you either the FAITH Act, the Family and Practitioner Act. You need to get whatever it is, and you need to get your child with an attorney. You need to get them diagnosed, and you need to have them deemed fit or not fit or unfit, but have them properly assessed by your own assessor that the state has to pay for. Whether you have insurance or not, the state's job, the federal government already put the money there for this. But a lot of parents don't get this information, and it's not in our interest to look at the system to say I'm against the system and I don't use it. It's in our interest to say the system's not for me. I'm going to take advantage of it. So whatever thing I can see that I cherry pick anything I see for that shit working, let me get a little bit of that. Black power. Oh, that's working, let me get a little bit of that. Why ain't using that shit? Get that shit out of here. You see what I mean? But then you got people putting this blindfold on and saying, oh, the whole system is wrong. So you got people coming here. I mean, people that are getting rid of their social securities because they're joining Moorish people. I'm like, bro, where the fuck were you? I'm sorry, y'all, but why would you get rid of your social security? I got foreigners who are super scammers.
Yeah.
super scammers. And they're all like, yo, I need a social. And you're over here getting rid of your social because of this weird sense of Black empowerment. You're bugging. And I have to tell you, like, sometimes we get caught up. And we get caught up, and that generation that gets caught up has been caught up. You know, when I look at, you know, the Tariq Nasheeds, and I'm like, you know, some of us are addicted. Like, bro, I had so many arguments with people who told me that I was wrong for not charging for credit repair. And I'm like, how? Like, and I'm like, and it's because of where they live.
Yeah.
Y'all live in what city y'all in?
Jersey.
Oh, Jersey.
Jersey. So y'all like y'all it's similar. So y'all know, like in New York, we have the Financial Empowerment Center. And that center is to do free credit repair, free financial literacy, free business development, SCORE Business Association. All of these things are there because they know if you develop the community will have a greater chance of making money. And that means you make more money. And so for me, I'm like, yo, you know, Sinetta at later on came to a congruence where it was like, yo, you know, your platform, like, it doesn't make sense having a broke platform. Who wants to be around a bunch of broke people?
Yeah.
Who wants to have a bunch of friends with bad credit? So I'm like, no, let me help out anybody I can help out. So we all got access to bread. So we all got a new car. We all got a better car, got something to access to. That just makes sense. Like that's what it's supposed to be. But you would be surprised how many of us, they're not part of that culture. And that's the many of us who don't understand what's coming new. So when I tell them, I'm like, look, the top businesses today are because they give away the most free shit. And iTunes became iTunes because iTunes was giving away music for $1. They changed the game with that. Now everybody's doing it, but let's not forget iTunes changed the game with making music affordable and accessible.
Yeah.
Let's not forget YouTube changed the game by letting people have free access to TV. Google changed the game, free access to information. Amazon, free shipping. Like, you know what I mean? Like what business models are they looking at? You know, like I just did my website over and my studio website, and I'm about to put mad information about how to record, what mics to choose from. You know, because people want info. Our generation understands that. The older generation doesn't. They still want to see it like it's on QVC, somebody holding it and beating them in the head. Hey, buy this phone because I said it's a good phone. Look, the price is going around. I can keep flashing this price and it's going to beat you in the head till you buy it. Our generation don't respond to that. And the younger generation doesn't respond. They're going to look at you like you're stupid. They're logic based. And I just think that Umar Johnson and some people are appealing to the population of people who are part of the older group. You know, and oftentimes I say that with Tariq, and like, I don't fuck with y'all. Like, I didn't know Umar Johnson was in like 50 years old. I didn't know Tariq was like 55 years old. Like, these dudes are way older than me. Yeah. They're not OGs, and so their audience is full of OGs. And it's not hard to think that there's 500,000 50-year-old black men who don't like black women laying around the country. It's not hard to think that there's 1 million black women who are 45 to 50 years old who think that a black man wearing a dashiki who sounds like a pastor who has a degree is somebody to believe in. I mean, and our generation is so caught up with all of the damn scamming that we don't know who to believe in. So I'm not even trying to sell my story. That's why I'm like, look, I'm just going to let my work prove for itself. And that's the best thing you can do in business. Like just like your audience, you ain't got to sell it. Like, everybody knows your platform. Everybody knows WorldStar. Everybody knows these platforms that did what they had to do to get their service and their brand recognized because of the quality work that they were doing. You know, even though WorldStar may have become what it was, WorldStar changed the game when it came out by putting out our content. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it changed the world. Like, and so I was a part of that. You know what I mean? They was putting my music videos up there. They was putting up Smack DVD stuff. And so that was the beginning of it. And we don't look at these things as like markers of change that really impacted society in a great way. You know what I mean? We're just being blind. And I think some of the older leaders, that's what they kind of hint, like they kind of held to that. And so I'm not mad at nobody. I know that if I used that voice more, if I wore a suit and a dashiki and I did this shit, I would appeal to the older generation. But honestly, it's like whatever. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, the work is what's going to get you to the next level, not somebody's donations. You know, and I got 100. I'm going on 200 students. You know what I mean? He hasn't got the door opens. We got 30 students in Atlanta, and anybody in Atlanta. My goal is to get to Atlanta and open up a location. We got a second location in Bed-Stuy. You know, it's residential locations. Again, residential locations. If you know the law, you have a lot more protection in a residential location than a business location. So, you know, taking advantage of all the rules that we can. And we're looking to be in Atlanta, even New Jersey. If I get a space, I'm supposed to call a brother back. Shout out to Dr. Shauna. We want to get to New Jersey. If we was in New Jersey, we'll be a full-blown school. Like the laws right across the water, completely different in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so if I can get a space, I say again.
No, I said you motivate. It's motivating.
If I can get a space in New Jersey, yeah, you know what I mean? Like that's like to wherever we can do it at. And being again, I got 150 students. That means we have 300 parents involved. So there's 400 people involved in this stuff, including grandmothers. We can bring it up to 600-700, people. And it's not just about the students. I got mothers who are going through divorces, fathers who are taking care of their kids by themselves, people who can't get child support. I got a bum ass dude that used to be part of my movement who abandoned his daughter for some bozo chick, and his daughter's in the program. And if you see this, I'm putting hands on you, but his daughter's in the program and she's by herself, and so we have some real stuff and we got to elevate. I got parents who's like, yo, Q, now that I'm in the program, can you help me with my education? Can you help me with my credit? So we're trying to figure out these parts. And that's where I get a little upset with, and I gotta keep it because I'm like, I'm doing the work. I have people that really need help.
Yeah.
And if I had access to those donations, there's people whose lives will be really changed. And that makes me get a little bit, and I try not to bring that energy because I don't want to come off like the angry black man. Like I got put in that space where like, yo, Q, you always critiquing people, and I'm like, and it's only because like I want to dig in y'all pockets, like y'all are waste. Like I was, Umar Johnson walk around with 7-8 freaking security guards, polite, digging like, I just got to leave that energy because I'm like, you know what, Q, that's not how I was raised. Just focus on doing good business and watch what you get out of it. Those dudes, if that's what they're doing, just leave that alone. And so, like, my goal this year is to create a $50,000 budget for myself with no white people involved. You know what I mean? And even if I get to a third of that or half of that, that's extremely powerful in New York, being one of the only black organizations that don't get no government funding and services as many people we do in New York. Yeah. We have programs like when COVID shut down, I'm talking about we got rockets in Brownsville. We have, if you know about RC cars, we got a fleet of like A-level RC cars for the kids that they take apart, build from scratch, 3D printers. We got the rocket program in Brownsville and Bed-Stuy, and we bring it to freaking Atlanta. We got the soldering, making radios from scratch. I'm talking about all the circuitry levels, building structures. Once we get to Atlanta, we're introducing welding, TIG welding, MIG welding. We're going to be taking it to the whole, like making all types of stuff. And just from the technology sense, the brushless motors that are going to be introduced to the market this year are going to revolutionize transportation, where they're going to be having drones that can carry 500, 600 pounds with no problem. They're going to have the scooters that can travel 60 miles per hour and be able to last 6-7 hours. Like that's going to happen this year. They're going to hit the market, and the technology that's going to come about because of this is going to revolutionize the way people travel and things are transported around the country. And either we get into it or not. Like, for example, in New York City, the entire scooter network and New Jersey is ran by Asians. All of the bike shops are built and ran by Asians. And so exactly what I'm doing with the RC cars and what I'm doing with electricity is the knowledge that's needed for the kids to be able to do and enter that field. You don't need a degree. There's no regulation over scooters right now. New York City just introduced it, and I think Jersey just introduced it. There's no licensed mechanics. There's none of that. So whoever has the money to get into it,
do it.
Into it.
Yeah.
And so I'm buying the kids hopefully next week a scooter to build from scratch. so that they can learn how to put it together. I can learn how to put it together, and taking that time so they can have these things to go into it. Because again, the work is going to speak for itself, and having a business model. You know, y'all are doing y'all show. Whoever can get to their own network capabilities, whoever has access to cheaper technology and more technology, this is what's going to kick you to the next level. You see what I mean? Where I would buy a microphone for y'all. You see what I mean? Like that's the only way our businesses is going to continue to grow like that. And if we're going to look at it from just penny pinching, that's not, no, penny pinching is an old school model. That's what the record labels did to artists. That's what I call it. Tariq Nasheed. I'm like, I love what Tariq Nasheed, but he made all that money off them documentaries, and what the fuck did you do to the community? Yeah. And I can't be mad at him for that, because that's exactly what he saw Teddy Riley's and all of these people do. Mm-hmm. All of this money off of music and entertainment, and they do shit for the Black community. And so I don't understand that. And so for me, it's like, no, I made all this money in the studio and I built an institute. The money that we got from the institute, we got more locations. These locations give more access to the resources. The resources give more access to the educational capacity that's being developed in the kids. And as these kids develop the education, what happens? Now we have people who have a greater capacity to make money. So I can say we're bringing in millions of dollars into the Black community, because I can systematically say my kids can solder, they can recognize components, they have a well understanding of history, they have an well-developed vocabulary, they have a understanding of algebra, calculus, mathematics, and the intuitive understanding of the language that mathematics needs. This is what's going to get us to the ability to be able to compete in the playing field of tomorrow. You know, sit up there acting like, you know, our egos is in forefront. There's no room for the ego in war. Yeah, you'll get people killed. You know, and that's the reality. You got people all gun ho. Yeah, let's run out here and do this. Yo, bro, you don't even know what the fuck you're doing. You got people running the front line getting shot, and they following you because they don't know no better. Right. That's the herd effect. And so, with NFAC, like I love NFAC, but I'm sorry, I'm from New York. Y'all from New Jersey. We don't play with guns like that. You see, and so we don't do pictures with guns. We don't go to other states and wave guns. Like, that's weird to us. Mm-hmm. And the people in New Jersey and New York that shoot people use guns that's like this big. Mm-hmm. We not used to big ass, like, I'm telling them, I'm not bugging. We go down some big ass gun. We look at you like,
yeah, we look at us like we fucking crazy.
What that big ass gun for? Who you got beef with, bro? Like, let me know. You got that shit in your car. I feel you, but bro, like, we from New York and Jersey, like, where people get robbed every day. I ain't never seen no big ass AK-47 in my life. I went out of state. AR-15. I'm like, bro, that's the only dudes out of state buying these shit. And then when you go meet some of these dudes, it's like, no offense, homeboy, you pussy, son. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to play you. It's cool being pussy, but just because you got that AR-15 don't mean that you're not pussy. Mm-hmm. You have the boots on, you bought all of the armor gear from Amazon. I be looking like these niggas would have bought all the armor shit. And then you look at the white boys doing the same shit. And I'm like, y'all are all emulating Rambo. Y'all are emulating shit you seen on TV. You not being yourself, bro. I'm being myself. I ain't no fucking gangster, and I ain't into guns. I love me some guns, but I don't want to have to shoot nobody. I don't want to kill no white person. I don't want to. That's not my life. I'm not here to be killing nobody. I'm here to build my community. If shit gotta happen, shit gotta happen. We know shit. People die every day. We see we get slapped already. That shit, whatever. Shit happens. But I'm not actively trying to go out there and seek that shit. And when I meet people in the community that's actively seeking that shit, I step the fuck back. But I also watch how many people are intrigued by that shit. And so when you ask the question, like, why do people gravitate to certain shit? That's just our community. Some people gravitate to being exploited. And a lot of people in our community gravitate to being exploited. You know what I mean? Some people gravitate like to Vlad DVD. People are still trying to get on Vlad.
Yeah, that was gonna be my next question to you as well. The Vlad situation. What's your thoughts on that? And the artists over there, pretty much incriminating themselves, but Vlad taking a stand to say, nah, they ain't incriminating themselves. What's your thoughts on that whole situation?
Don't talk to white people about black politics, and black politics isn't about democracy. You know what I mean? Black politics is anything that politics. We politic ourselves. Jay-Z said it best. We politic ourselves. Fuck is you talking to this old Jewish dude about hip hop is wild? They go, my brother right there. What's goody? That's my guy right there, real life, man. But yeah, fuck is you talking to white people for? You sound crazy. And this dude asking you, so I ain't gonna lie. So you used the 357 to shoot him?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You did it on 95th?
And you're currently in a case. It's currently active. What?
And we love to talk. White people knew that for the longest. You give black people a platform, they will talk. That was one of the things they did with Malcolm. Oh, Malcolm's beefing with motherfucking Elijah. Yo, get this nigga a platform, son. Yo, let's give Malcolm, you want to do an interview? Boom, get this nigga a platform. Let him go up there and spill his beans up and talk with his shit. You ain't and what we love to talk, and we gotta sometimes recognize that these white folks know we love to talk. And so I know I love to talk. So I try to keep myself around black folks because I know they don't pay attention to our shit. But when you start going on to their shit too much, then you start paying attention. They start paying attention to you. Then you got the black folks that love white folks paying attention to you. I'm cool. And so you go to white folks' platforms, they're all agents. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna lie. And I love my sister Michi. And I tell her all the time, shout out to Grandmaster Jay. You know what I'm saying? But he do too much shit for me that's either egotistically unsound or all over the place. And I ain't gonna call him an agent. I'm just gonna say, yo, bro, you wildin'. Like, there's no reason for you to be talking to white folks like that. You had one of the biggest meetings of black people, black militias, and you invited Vice to secretly record you. Like, that's crazy to me. Like, that shit. Like, I know people that got killed. Like, I know I got dead friends. I got dead students. You know what I mean? Students that were dead because they got accused of snitching. Like, nah, bro. Like, that shit's crazy to me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you doing interviews with the Jews and shit. Like, you doing interviews like with all these different people, and it's like, nah. Like, I watched him do an interview with this fat Jewish dude the other day, and I'm like, yo, my man, son, like they record everything. They watch how we respond. Like, yo, you see how often I'm drinking water? These motherfuckers is gonna count how many words I use between I lick my lips and I drink the water. What angle I choose to drink the water. If you watch me, you already know I'm right-handed. Just by watching me drink water, you realize I'm right-handed. There's so much information that's given away, and when you psychologically analyze somebody, like, oh nah, and and we're not aware of that, we'll be stupid. And I think some of us are more obsessed with being known and getting clout than being on point. And that unfortunately, that's what happened to Rod Diggs. There was no reason for Rod Diggs to say what he said in that song. No reason. I didn't record the song. You know what I mean? And it happens. And so sometimes we talk too much. And that's one thing I learned from the Nation of Islam that I love with it. And we don't like when Elijah Muhammad created one of the strongest movements in history. And he did it by keeping his fucking mouth quiet. You know, as much as people we may not like, or we can all analyze and have differences in an opinion on how he did his shit, but the reality is he's been dead for almost 50 years and people still living off of his plan.
That's a fact.
I gotta respect that. And you know what I mean? Like, I know people who's been dead 1 year and their kids is already tearing up their crib fighting over their shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you got people all over the country and world living how you told them to live. You have to respect that. Marcus Garvey didn't do that. Elijah Muhammad did that. The Black Panthers didn't do that. He did that. You know, and when I analyze that, it's like, yo, one of the biggest things, he wasn't out there. I don't think you can find an interview with him talking to white people.
Yeah.
Simple. First thing, don't talk to these white folks. What are you talking to them for? You're supposed to be focused on building yourself. How you got time to build yourself and talk to white people about so you want to go to white people and talk about what white people did? You want to go to the devil to discuss why the devil's the devil? That makes no sense. You know what I mean? You must have a devil in you. You want the devil to recognize the devil within you. You know what I mean? And I'm an atheist, but I understand that, Jewel. You see what I mean? It's like, why are you up there? Like, why are you? And I understand sometimes with you do it because you want to go up there, but nah, like, you know, even when Louis Farrakhan with Donahue, like, I thought that was a waste of time. And I think that by him no longer going on these platforms, it makes like, why are you arguing with people who don't even know the definition of the words they're using? How do you call this man? I forgot when you anti, what the fuck is you? My brain is Semitic, anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
Call a Muslim person anti-Semitic. They're fucking. I don't even understand. It's just like, bro, Semitic means that you practice any one of these things and you come from this country.
Right.
So a Muslim person not liking a Jew is not anti-Semiticism. That's what the fuck they've been doing for thousands of years. That's just retarded. And to even deal with the conversation is a waste in a business. And that's why I love the younger generation, because we're so business minded. You're not gonna waste no time. Like, you couldn't get Favi to waste his time to talk to you about some bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't gonna get young Thug. They're focused on business. I'm recording 700 songs. I'm doing 60 shows. I'm doing 45 photo shoots. I'm branding this. I'm selling this. I'm selling underwear. And I got an OnlyFans account. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's hip hop now. Like, I'm going to exploit myself so that I can be good for myself. I look at I'm going to exploit myself so my community can be good. So I don't sleep. You know what I'm saying? No sleep. I don't give a fuck about a bed. Only reason I got like sleep in the bed because of wifey. I don't go home. I'd rather keep my kids with me. I got the music studios below the institute. Shit is running all day long. It's 24/7. We don't stop work. Y'all can come to me. You only get in the Uber. Y'all come over. I'll show y'all how to fucking solder. We can do a show. We got the music studio down there, like non-stop work. We're not in a position to be sitting here playing around. And when people are in those spaces, you often see them not respect what they have. And so they get up there and do an interview with somebody like a Vlad TV. Look at freaking Quad Studios.
Mm-hmm.
Quad Studios got Bobby locked up.
Yeah.
Quad Studios ain't this shit for hip hop, and they're still getting paid off of Tupac's album. They don't got one fucking studio. Don't now get me upset. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't got one fucking studio music program funded by Quad, but they charging $100 a fucking hour still. So you know what I mean? Like, man, listen, be like, there's a lot of that's taking advantage of this shit, and we let a lot of that's the black community's lack of development in hip hop, where we let a lot of white people in there trying to be cool with white people. And I think that's just something that black people do in hip hop too much, where we just want to be cool with white people. We want to have that white friend. It's like, no, we don't. Nigga, buy me the CD, buy my ticket, and get the fuck out. Like, I'm not dealing with white ass. Like, fuck out of here. Like, I don't deal with you. Y'all are culturally different. Maybe that's because you know me, like, I've been through some shit with white. Like, we all been through shit with white people. I don't need to go through personal shit. The lack of understanding that people have in history, and the fact that some people take their personal experiences to validate or go against what historically is well known that these people have done to black people, and what they're continuously doing to us culturally, and the threats of them. You might have introduced them to hip hop. Vlad might have been that cool white boy from the block that was the one white friend that loved hip hop 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. Now, but 30 years later, he turned into exactly what he is. And we can't be mad at the devil for being the devil. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so you got to look at the black people that don't understand that you're not supposed to deal with that. But I can't look at somebody who doesn't have the knowledge of self or understanding of self to make those type of decisions. And that's the reality that I do know. And that goes back to business. If you don't have knowledge of self, you're going to do certain things. If you don't have knowledge of business or business acumen, you're not going to be able to carry your business to that level. You know, and that's what we need to promote more. And we need to make people know that your platform is more important than Vlad's. Doggy Diamond, yours, Mel TVs, Sinetters. This is where music is supposed to get broke. Mm-hmm. This is where people are supposed to get known at. Like, I would love to do rounds on y'all shit. You know what I mean? All the time, and be like, no, I send them money every week just because. Why? Because that's the platform we go to. You know what I'm saying? They bring me on because, like, no, that's the institute we built, and that's how that was shot my man Mel's. Like, Doggy Dime, that's my bro. But Mel's and I got a certain relationship, and everybody do. I'm sure we'll develop that way. It's like, look, y'all are giving back to the community just by doing this. I didn't have to do that. Y'all gonna be in and talk about motherfucking trending shit. Whoever ass got shot last week and get 1,100,000 views and shit. Big brother for this shit. But y'all bring me up there, you see what I mean? And this is what it counts, because at the end of the day, like my student asked, what happened to the movement that was behind the Black Panthers? And I had to tell her, we are that movement. You know, you're sitting in that movement. And when I told, and I have a student who, in his mind, the society's trying to program him to be gay. and he's our first student that's in that space. And I had to tell him, I'm like, look, where did I meet you at? And he was like, the gun range. And I said, is that not Black power? I said, your students and your sisters and these students, we met in Atlanta at the gun range. And I took all of y'all out, and the first time y'all shot a gun was with the principal of y'all institute. Say Black power. And that same student is the one I was like, look, you know, if you don't have children, that's the end of your legacy. Don't let nobody tell you different. You want to end your legacy, you want to hate your parents, don't have any kids. That's the easiest way to tell your family and your ancestors, fuck you. You know, but if you respect your love and for your community and yourself, the only way to make it go forward is to replicate yourself. You know, and that's the biological function. And so how we have these conversations and how we promote these conversations is what's important. But if we're thinking that the only way we can have these conversations is with white platforms or through white media, like I love TED Talks. I would never go on TED Talks. I much rather work for fuck Ted. He sound like a snitch anyway. You know what I'm saying? So like he sound like Vlad uncle. You got Vlad and then you got Ted, and you got black people going up there telling their ideas to Ted, and you got rappers going telling their ideas to Vlad. Then you got the other ones going on Fox News lining themselves up. Like, yo, y'all ain't learn, stay away from these white folks. I'd rather go on Information Man's channel and deal with our network. But again, we got that view that popularity is 1 million, you know, a million and plus people. And it's like, that's not it. You know what I mean? You got millionaires. I know this, some Jewish white people gave me a lot of knowledge. I got a Jewish white dude who helped me with my business a couple of years back. And he funded for 35 years the small business club in Brooklyn College. Nobody knows this white dude. And for 35 years, he paid for one student, mostly black, an entire year's tuition in that school.
Wow.
And so when I met him, the dude who was volunteering my spot said, Q, he paid my tuition, but he gives me counseling, but I don't really need his counseling. I really want to bring him to you. And so he's the only person that ever read my business plan. And he was like, yo, Q. And he used to tell me, yo, Q, I feel bad for you because they make black people go through all of this weird shit. And he's like, we don't do this in the black community, like in the Jewish community, and don't subjugate yourself to this shit. He's like, he couldn't call it anything else but nigga shit. He's like, yo, Q, I feel bad because this is what they do to black people. He's like, I've never seen the credit application for a loan for $5,000. He's like, who fills out an application for $5,000?
Damn.
He says, who does that? He said they wanted to see your social security for a business loan. He said, Q, that's a dinner, a paragraph, and a financial statement. And he said, I feel so bad that this is how they're making your community think that business is conducted. And I had to change I do contracts with this institute out of formality, but in my personal setting, if I got to do a contract with you, I don't really want to do business with you.
Yeah.
Like that's how, you know what I mean? That's how personal I am with people. Like if you're an engineer in my studio and I need to do a contract with you just so that we don't have money issues, I'd rather not even work.
That's what you did.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's just that simple. Like, and that goes back to the communication and the respect that we gotta have for each other. But that to me is our generation. The older generation is so penny pinched out. You know what I mean? That Teddy Riley shit, man. They be robbing each other, stealing from each other, raping their own kids' music, taking their own publishing. You know, we don't respect that era.
Absolutely. Hey man, we definitely in the building with Q Butter dropping knowledge for over an hour and a half on this live edition of the Hip Hop Uncensored podcast. If you like what you're hearing, if you like the jewels that you're grabbing right now, go ahead and hit that like button, share this video, and of course, God pinned the Zayax School Institute on you got on the main chat room of Hip Hop Uncensored, right? Go ahead and click that now. Donate to the platform. Go check out the information because it's definitely powerful. And like you were alluding to, Brother Q, we need to definitely have you on more. We like to come down to the school and check it out once the weather breaks because this brick is a motherfucker out here right now in Jersey and New York. Let's get out to that school and come check that out, man, and definitely show some love. What can the people, before we get up out of here, man, give the people your lasting remarks, where they can find you and where they can donate to the school.
Last remarks is black over everything, man. Don't let nobody get in the way of that. So you have to stay focused, perseverance, mental fortitude is what we need to get it to the next phase. When we say to my religious brothers and sisters, if we're going to get over this hump, we need to focus. Our skin is something that has been graced with the melanin of the sun, and we have to use that to radiate the power that we have within us to inspire others to be great. And I'm sorry.
You know that shit opens up the donations faster than the offering pot, though. So keep preaching.
I just can't take myself serious when I do. I feel like I'm cheating. I feel like a fucking scumbag. You know what I mean? But it's like, we got to take care of us, man. And I want to be an example of that. Don't let the gold teeth and the hat to back fool you. I'm about nothing but black empowerment, and I am a pillar for our community to stand on and other people to look at as an example to support what we have going on. You can go into GoFundMe, you can go into Zayax Institute, you can donate, you can volunteer, you can share. Whatever you have is good enough. $5, $2, $50, $1,000, whatever you have in your pocket is great for us to support. And if you don't have any, just share it. I appreciate it anyway. Anything you do matters, and anything you do counts. And for this movement, everything we do matters, and everything we do counts, because we all we got and we all that we need.
Appreciate you, brother.
Yes, sir, man. Definitely, bro. So yeah, with that being said, everybody go ahead and make that donation. And you got a YouTube platform as well, right? In social media. Drop that for us too.
Yeah, Q Butter everywhere. QUBUTTER.
Okay.
QUBUTTER. Go check out the video. Go drop the video drops. I got mad music for y'all dropping this year. I got mad music. I got almost 7 videos done. So Q Butter, if you just want to see the music, Q Butter Music or Q Butter, go to my channel to see there. The Institute, the XYAYX, that's a word that me and 3 other black men came up with. It's a black word, Zayax, our word. We made that up.
Word.
That the Zayax Institute is for our institute. Zayax, the movement, is to find out about the corporate institute. And if you want to, not the corporate institute, the corporation and overarching nonprofit organization. And if you want to get any links to our charitable links or get our documentation to see about our charitable causes, you can go on there. If you want to find out about the studio, it's Zayax Studios, Zayax, XYAYX Studios.com. And do look out for next week, our print shop. Most people know that we have a printing company also. We do t-shirt printing and branding printing and stuff like that. And that website will be launching next week as well. Also, Zayax Music Group, XYAYX musicgroup.com. That's where you can find all of the music that we have laid out. And above all, we need support when it comes down to the movement. If you're a teacher or somebody who's willing to volunteer as a teacher, please join the group. You can email us at thezayaxinstitute@gmail.com, the XYAYXINSTITUTE@gmail.com. If you're willing to volunteer, email us and just let us know what your availability is, what classes you're willing to volunteer for. If you are interested in STEM and willing to let me teach you how to become a teacher for us in STEM, and you have the time and you're just interested and you may have some type of skills, tooling skills or fine tooling skills, please hit us up. Definitely interested in that. If you're a parent, again, the tuition is a suggested price of $400. We suggest that $100 a week. However, if we have a set your own price, SYOP. Whatever's good for you is good for us. You don't need to call me up and be like, Q, I'm worried about this much. If it's $50, if it's $25, if it's $300, if you want to pay more than the $400, that's on you. It ain't got nothing to do with me. I don't need to see your financials. I don't need to see your background. I don't need to know what happened to your grandmother. I don't need to know what happened to your kid. I'm not going to say I don't care. That's between you and your mirror. So if you want to lie and be like, no, Q, I got this much money, I'm going to say this much. You're not hurting me. You're hurting the movement. And I won't let you hurt the movement. So it's really between you and the mirror.
Damn, man. Appreciate you, brother. Yes, Brothers in the Building podcast. Can't wait to have you back on, man. Salute, bro.
Salute.
All right, brother. Peace.